Hi guys, welcome back to Two Worlds Collide podcast. On today's episode, we're excited to welcome back ultra runner and knees over toes ATG certified coach, Shane Walker. Shane's here to share his insights into endurance training, injury recovery, and how he's helping people strengthen from the ground up. I hope you guys enjoy.
Yeah, legitimately spinning back, making history again.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, you ready to go?
Yeah, man, I'm ready to roll.
Shane Walker, welcome back to Two Worlds Collide podcast, mate. How you going?
Mate, thanks for having me. Thanks for being a part of history.
Yeah,
Doubling back.
Mate, number 1 and now number 25. So
yeah, we must have some big people coming in next.
Yeah.
So just set the bar low again.
That's
and
it.
Just get ready to launch.
Back by popular demand. Now, I think, a few things we'll probably go over today is that, knees over toes stuff. You're huge into fitness and running, so, I love diving into that sort of stuff. And, I recently ran 115K, so
What was that? How long ago was that? Like a week and a half ago? 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. So, I ran 100K last year and my knees completely broke down. Then when I came back to you and said, hey, my knees are weak, can you show me some stuff? And I've been doing that consistently now for about a year. It was chalk and cheese to how my knees reacted from this time to next time. So one of the things I want to get you in here is just to explain, and given that you're an ATG qualified coach, I just want to know what's the program for a beginner in this ATG system, like building from the bottom up, specifically, your lower body. So obviously, ankles, calves, knees, quads, hips, and lower back.
Yeah, so basically, if the whole purpose of that type of system is that you can, and like I said, I know that system very well, but it's more so just the ability to move well and slowly build up. So realistically, you want to be able to start, you want to be able to. It's all about being able to get someone who's as old as 60, 70. Like, how do we get them to be able to work and move and slowly build up? So it just starts with gentle progressions, but most of the guys that I speak to are like yourself. They're ex-athletes who played sport. They're just so jacked up. It's just so easy to make small changes and they just start working on things and they get big results quite quickly. I would say for somebody who, if we just bring someone in who has no sporting background and they've got chronic pain injuries, we're going to start gently. And a lot of the things, for example, someone who's never trained, like we've talked about walking backwards, something as simple as that's going to get so much blood flow into a knee joint. So if you're having knee issues, blood flow is quite good for that, to get circulation in there. Cycling is another great tool. That's not in the ATG sort of system, but I use cycling a ton in between runs and stuff like that. But I would say, yeah, something as simple as walking backwards is a great tool. And people find, they get a really good workout from it. I think we spoke about it last time. I would look at that. But then if I had someone come in, I would straight away just kind of look at where their mobility is. So what hurts, what doesn't, how deep can they get into positions, and what their basic, what I would refer to as basic mobility would look like. And it's straight away, everyone's different. We had, when I saw you do stuff, I'm like, oh, yep. You can see where you're lacking and where your strong points and weaknesses are. And the same with other mates. Other mates had really big, differences as well. And you have to tailor it. Everyone's different. So it's like, here's a template and just go follow it. Even though I know through all Ben Patrick's stuff, his is all essential, training plans that you can follow. But everyone kind of needs their own specific plans based on what issues they have. But yeah, you literally can, and the whole reason why I show these workouts is because you don't need much. You can work at home. So you don't have to go to a gym to do them. So anyone can do them. So yeah, start gently by walking backwards is a great start. Look at the baseline mobilities, look at positions, and would look at how we load positions gently, progressively and build up, and then start loading them and progressively working through them really. It's about getting a full range of motion because most people don't have that sort of range to begin with.
Should you be walking backwards with resistance?
Well, I think a sled's amazing, but not many people can have access to a sled and turf. So we've talked about the treadmills, the backwards sorts of treadmills. So anything that's going to put resistance in, or you could go backwards up a hill.
I see a lot of people walking on treadmills, but they have the treadmill on, and I think it defeats the purpose. I think you have to have the treadmill off to be able to force that.
Yeah, you need resistance.
Yeah.
But everyone needs different levels of resistance. Like, some people it's going to hurt too much. So, okay, you might need to do it with it on to begin with. That's might be where you're at, So I think that's where the nuance comes in, that everyone's different. We can't just throw a template at somebody, which is what online training plans are. But I think that's why you have a coach, and, even the highest athletes have coaches, so that they can, from the outside looking in, tailor things to the individual.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've definitely done now is went and got a coach, especially for my next project I'm going to start doing. So you can just tailor that because, previously just before I've just launched into things and, you know me, like I'm similar to you, or just run my body ragged until it says no. And we do injuries and stuff like that. But I must say that especially since, starting that program that you gave me, and I did it for, pretty much 6 months straight without any hiccups at all, but I'd consistently seen really, really good progress. But I didn't know how much progress I actually made until I had a week where I ran about 140K in 1 week on the lead up to my last ultra, and I'd got no knee pain at all. I would be, I'd be running 30, 35Ks on a Saturday with no knee pain at all. And then obviously the test came in my last ultra around 115K. Now, look, unfortunately, I had a terrible prep about 2 weeks out from that race where, I just got hit with the flu. And then from there I was traveling around doing podcasts, so I couldn't quite, ring people up and be like, hey, I can't come and do this with you because it's been organised, and it's also fucks up my schedule with releasing episodes and stuff like that. So I just went around, did it, and then I came back that week just completely deflated and pretty much spent most of the week in bed. And I reckon that's why I did my calf in the first 10K, because I was pretty much just lying around. I went out for a couple runs here and there to try and get moving again, but because I'd just been sleeping 2-3 hours a day and sleeping 10 hours at night, I think that might have contributed to why the calf went. But also as well, that's definitely one area, especially in the soleus.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Yeah, so that's where my injuries happen. And now I spoke to my coach, and he said that obviously it's going to go a lot of work into that area, which is, consistently been pretty weak for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, like running that 115K, I never thought I wouldn't get any knee pain running, and I literally got no knee pain. I just got knee soreness.
Like
the difference between
pain and soreness.
Yeah, like soreness you can run through it, it's fine. With pain, I actually felt like I was straining ligaments on my first 100K race, and this one, it was chalk and cheese from what you showed me to do to what traditional people have been doing in the gym. Now, I want you to talk me through some of the specifics that you showed me to do, more in regards to like the tib raises. Obviously, that was a huge thing. And then strengthening up the knee, so like the HEG split squats and stuff like that. So those are some of the things that I think have benefited me enormously, plus also walking backwards on the treadmill. I do that heaps. But I just want you to sort of talk me through that system, from building from the base up. Like, what type of exercises should a beginner be doing? Or, what did you show me?
Yeah, well, when you come down, for example, it was more so the same thing. Like, all right, let's just get you warmed up. Let's get blood flowing. So I think we had you do. But at that point, I didn't have any sort of form of, like, I have a backwards treadmill now. Shout outs to Ben for setting that one down. But what I did, I think we got you on a slant board, and I was like, all right, let's see what you look like in a squat. And even with the beauty of the slant board is that it will get you into that full range of motion. It will get you into your full knee flexing over your toe. A lot of people don't have the mobility to squat without, really hindering form, putting their chest forward and putting a lot of pressure on their back. So that's the beauty of the slant board, and it becomes a more knee dominant exercise. So I think we got you into that, and we started doing, I think I call it VMO 100, and we were just doing bottom quarter squats to 100. So by that, you're like 100 straight, you're just smoked, but blood flow is there. And then we can start moving, because a lot of people as well, without getting that blood flow, they can be sore. So we want to get them warm first, get blood flowing through the knee joints. And then, I do like to work from the bottom. So, I think we do some tib raises. And tib raises, I think they're a great tool, underutilized. You can get the same sort of stimulus from, like doing like plyometrics, jumps and stuff like that. But
I think they're the most underrated exercise.
well, and everyone gets different stimuluses from things, and people are like, oh, tib raises changed my life. Like, but then some people are like, oh, they did nothing for me. I think for me personally, they really helped me get range of motion through my ankles. So, flexion and extension of my ankles, it made a big, then all of a sudden I could squat properly. And getting blood flow, again, it's more blood flow into the knees, into the front of the shin. A lot of people have had success with tib raises with shin splints. And then as well, a lot of people just don't spend time working on the soleus, or soleus. There's a lot of different pronunciations of that word, but a lot of people don't spend time working on it. They're like, oh, I'm doing calves, and not many people go, all right, I'm specifically going to work on the gastroc, I'm going to work on the soleus. The soleus still gets worked in a standing position, but it's solely loaded in that position when you're seated or when your knee's over your toe, and you can do standing knee over toe calf raises. So another underrated exercise, and obviously for yourself, we really want to target that area and build the strength up. So that way, when you do go for these runs, your body's more equipped to handle it. So another great exercise. And the beauty of all these exercises is that you don't need to be in a gym. So, any videos that I've ever posted, it's because it's minimal equipment. So we can just get into them anywhere, because gym equipment's great. Like, it's good to have leg extensions, it's good to have hamstring curls, but not everyone has leg presses and hamstring curls and all that stuff. So a step up is another move I think I showed you, where we had you on a heel elevated step up, which is a very joint dominant exercise. So single leg step ups, which is, there's references of Poliquin step ups and Peterson's and Patrick step ups, just different positions of the foot. But Poliquin step ups, heel elevated on a slant board or a wedge, and we'll just slowly progress elevation depending on the pain tolerance and ability. But that's very joint dominant. So for me personally, having like really bad bone edema and cartilage defects, that one took a long time for me to overcome. We've worked from the ground level up. We've got your knees warm, we've got blood flowing. We then started working your tibs, and we got blood flow to the front, and then we've worked the back as well, and then we're going to come up to the knee joint, and then I think, as I said, we did step ups, and then once we did the step ups, which is a short range movement again, then we're going into full range of motion. So I think we started working some split squats, but because your mobility at that point wasn't good enough, we had to elevate to get that full range of motion. And then I think we did squats on a slant board again, full range of motion squats. And then we turned around to the back and the posterior, and we started working on your hamstrings. I think we did some regressed Nordic curls on the Nordic bench. And they're brutal. Like, I think that exercise is just amazing. If you see that from start to finish, and you get to the point of being able to perform them, it's like a game changer for your body.
Yeah, they're the equalizer of all men, I say.
Oh man, they're brutal.
Like, people think they're strong in the gym, and then they get on that, it sorts everyone out straight away.
Oh, and the DOMs from that, like delayed onset muscle soreness from that, is brutal. Like, you'd be sore for days from that. Like, that's really good for strengthening behind the knee. And it's hard to get that stimulus from any other type of variation. RDLs are great, but where the Nordic bench is amazing is that, you're in a lengthened position. So like, when you're coming down, you're literally lengthening the hamstring out, and that's where the most tension is. Like, that's just game changing for your knees, your knee health, and your posterior as well. I just think not many people have that intent when they train. Like, I'm going to train this and this and this for the purpose of this. But the beauty of this sort of system is it's mobility and strength together, so you can increase them together.
I mean, yeah, once you showed me that, and especially about strengthening up the back of the knee, something I've never ever done before.
Especially for you, man. Sorry to jump in there, but with an ACL reconstruction, like, it's crucial to be strong behind the knee.
Yeah.
Crucial.
Yeah, and I just found that I went leaps and bounds, and it was, first started in small steps, like the month, with a month of doing this sort of stuff, I seen, sort of good change. And then, like, when it hit 2 to 3 months, I started to see considerable change. And then, at the 6 months mark, I seen really good change. But the thing that I've been always terrible with is hitting that bottom soleus muscle, which is something I definitely need to pay a lot of attention to, obviously, given my last run where it sort of went real early on me.
A coach will be good for you as well, because obviously he's gonna pull you back when you need to be pulled back. He's gonna moderate your load, and you're just gonna follow the plan. Otherwise, you're just destructive to yourself, like I am. Like you're just going out there and just fucking doing whatever you feel like, and that's not always the best idea. You need someone to say, "Hey, no, today you're doing this. Today you're doing this for this reason." Tailoring runs, instead of us, just going out there. And I think we talked about, running in a low aerobic zone. Which is great, but it's classified as easy. But is it easy if you're doing it for 4 hours, 5 hours? And then how much elevation are you running? Like if you're running at elevation, that's supremely taxing as well. Running on different surfaces. So I think if you have a coach, he's going to reel you in, but then he's also going to let you go. And then some days are going to be days where you're running tons of elevation. Some days are going to be days where you're going fast. Some days are you're just in that easy zone, I think, and then you'll be primed for it, and your body will be able to tolerate more. But the strength and mobility part of that, most runners don't do it, and that's where they come short.
I mean, having a coach is one of the most, I think it'll be one of the most beneficial things I've done in terms of my fitness and running, especially with the project that I want to get done next April. I'm going to run from planning and starting the logistics of it now, running from Melbourne to Adelaide via the Great Ocean Road. So it's about 1,042 Ks. I want to do 50K, 52K a day for 20 days, which will sort of see me hopefully get it done then. So the coach I've got is a guy called Matty Abel. He's actually Ned Brockman's coach. So obviously he knows how to train people up for this sort of stuff. One of the things he said to me about prepping for this next run is we just need to get your body used to running 50K a day. Which I don't know how that looks, or in the training, because I don't think, obviously there'll be a lot of consecutive days where I'm doing big loads like that, but how that looks and how that has sort of is going to be mapped out during a 5-month training process is interesting. But I'm so looking forward to launching into it. And obviously it's for I love the cause that I'm doing it for. I'm linked up with a group in Adelaide that started a charity in Adelaide, and they're like a charity supporting combat veterans and first responders with PTSD. So raise money for that and start in April the 1st, finish hopefully sometime before Anzac Day. But yeah, looking forward to the challenge, looking forward to seeing what Matt has in store for me.
Yeah,
in regards to that sort of stuff. So
it'll take you leaps and bounds, man, for sure, no doubt about it. Like, it's just and you want to run these events. You don't want to survive them. Like you don't want to be getting injured, and like everyone gets injured in these races, but it's like the level of injuries and what they can endure. And obviously, you don't want to be getting injured at the start. You want to be getting injured towards the back end, and then it becomes more of a mental than a physical.
I was so spewing, bro, when I did that at like 10, when I did it at 10K, and I just.
Yeah, you fucking shuddered.
And like one of the things was, right, like I'd always double tie my shoelaces, but I just didn't do it this time. It was like 3:30 in the morning when I was getting up, getting ready, put my shoes on, didn't double tie. They came loose at 10K. I stopped, went to retie them, went to just launch off again. So, I've obviously stopped running after 10K. Went to launch off again. I just felt a rip down in that lower calf, and I'm like, And now I said to myself, I'm like, well, just run to the next aid station. And I've limped in there, stopped, and I'm like, well, the next aid station after that is another 12K, so let's just put a compression sock on it, get some deep heat into it, rub it, and then continuously run. And I was like, yeah, just get to that 25 and then see from there. And I sort of went okay in that 25 because I just was running on the outside of my foot, so to try and take all the weight off the inside of the foot, and it just and anyway, I got to that 25K, and I just thought to myself, well, you're here now. Like, there's no fucking point stopping. And there wasn't at one point in my mind where I actually thought, I'm going to pull off this race or stop. I'll just, if I couldn't run it, I would just walk it in. But I just thought to myself, don't be a fucking pussy.
Well, kudos to you, man. You got it done. Like, a lot of people would have said, nah, this is it. But I'm the same. Like, if I was in an actual event, and I've paid money and I've said, hey, I'm doing this, like, and and people are there supporting me, it's just getting done one way or another, you know. But you want to get to that point where you're racing those things. Like, So normalizing 50Ks a day, yeah, there'll be some intense blocks, but there'll be a lot less than what you think, I reckon, as well, in certain points. Yeah, I just know because a guy I know, Simon, is a machine. He's like an ultra. He does Ultramans and he does ultra endurance stuff. And I'll talk to him quite a bit, and he's really good. And yeah, I was running for a bit and speaking with him, and he was like basically coaching me through things. And I was doing runs to the point where it was called normalizing marathons, where marathons were normal. Like normal runs were just marathons. And that's where you want to be. It's like just a normal run. Like that's when it becomes dangerous. But 50 a day for 20 days or 52. Fucking, yeah, some heavy shit. It's gonna be fucking hell, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I did like, I had a week where I did 10 in the morning, 10 in the afternoon for a week, and I got to 140, but so I was doing 20 a day. But then you look at that, it's like, well, I've only ran 140. If I do 50 a day, that's 350. So I'm not even getting to half the load. But my body did pull up fine from that, apart from a couple little injuries that popped up at the end.
What's another thing would be worth looking at as well? How much is there elevation running?
No, I haven't looked at any of that yet.
Because if there's thousands of meters of elevation,
yeah, then I'm cooked.
Well, then it's like you've got to be running at elevation to get used to that. Do you know what I mean? Like you've got to be hitting those elevations because otherwise you can't go out there and be like, oh yeah, I've been running heaps, but you've been running no elevation and then expect to overcome thousands and thousands of meters.
Yeah.
Something's going to go wrong.
Look, I don't think it's too bad. Obviously that coastline is pretty hilly, but and it's very, very windy, very exposed down there. But I don't think it's as bad as running an ultra marathon. Do you know what I mean? Through trails and that. But
yeah, and the technicality of trails is underrated because that's what fucked me up recently. I just went too hard on a trail and didn't hydrate correctly, and it was like the middle of the day. And it's just the technicality of stepping, watching rocks, trying not to fall over.
Yeah,
it actually destroyed me. And then I jumped on a plane for 10 hours and I sat in a plane and I got off and I was like, fuck, I can't even move. It was, pretty brutal. But yeah, that's something that needs to be considered as well. Like running on road is a lot less technical. The trails can beat the shit out of you for sure.
Yeah, big time, especially just with foot placement. How much ankle mobility changes as well.
Super strong ankles, like start fucking, and even looking like, I think plyometrics are a good accessory as well. I don't do heaps of pliers. Well, my idea of doing pliers is throwing flips in my backyard, but doing like plyometrics, there's some really good programs, a lot of good people for plyometrics, which would emulate that impact as well.
What about strengthening your lower back? And talk me through that, because I know I've seen some stuff where you've been superbly strong in your lower back. So just talk me through about a strengthening process for that.
Yep. Yeah, no, man. It's such a big thing is the posterior chain of your back. So like the hamstrings, but like the lower back, and even up the upper back as well, above that point. But so many people have back issues. And one of my good mates had a pretty bad back issue, and I worked with him heaps to get through that. But it was just a matter of opening his hip flexors up, strengthening his hip flexors, looking at his low back and slowly building him into positions that he could tolerate, and working his hamstrings and his glutes, just things that it's almost like I've mentioned before, it's kind of common sense, but you've just got to find what's tolerable and build up over time. So, but like for me to really hit my back, and I train at home, like I have a back extension and that's just $1 million. Like such a great tool. It's just as simple as that. A back extension is so good for targeting the lower back. Another exercise that I'm really big on is seated good morning, which is you sit on a bench, you've got a barbell on your back, and you have your feet in front, and you're coming down slowly without rounding your back. And the long-term goal would be chest to bench. And my mate, when he started all this, he couldn't do any of that. We got him through and got him, he could do all of that by the end of it. And he's like, oh, my back's golden now. And I'm like, yeah, of course it is, because look at your ability now compared to before. It's a pretty simple equation. But like I refer to it as the posterior, not just the back. So it's like the back, the hamstrings, the glutes. Yeah, it's just so underrated. Once you start piecing these things together, like you just all of a sudden you can do things that you couldn't do before, and it just comes on the back of you just breaking things down and working through them. RDL's a great exercise as well. But yeah, like the lower back, I don't think many people come with that intent. Like how many people are on a lower back extension pumping out with a barbell on their back, But it's like anything, you got to slowly work through it. I only had one flare up. Like, look, I've had a ton of injuries pushing boundaries because I'm just that type of person, like as you would know. But my lower back just feels just feels amazing. Like, yeah, I never have issues with my lower back. It's feels phenomenal from all that strength training, and it's can just because I'm doing it all the time, and it's just the compounding effect. But yeah, what my back workout looks like to, you know, if you go to the gym, it's just completely different. Yeah, it's completely different. Like strengthening your back in a position where it's rounded, as well as when it's, you know, you're avoiding to round your back as well. So there's those two positions where you get strong in those, and everything opens up, and then you've got strong glutes and strong hamstrings, but then you've also got really good mobility. You know, you can palms to the floor with your hand, you know, standing in touch. You know, put your palms to the floor with your hamstrings. So you want to have length, but you also want to have that strength, and that's the money. Like that's the magic to it, really.
When you gave me like a stretching routine as well with the strength program, that's where I seen
mobility flow, as I like to call it. Yeah, like a bit of that. And I still do that all the time, like a couple of times a week or whenever I feel like it. I'll just get into a bit of I call it mobility flow, and I just work through circuits of different type of mobility, strengthening at the same time. Some of it's loaded, but some of it is static. Like a couch stretch is a phenomenal exercise, and that's not loaded. Phenomenal.
That's so good for it.
And that's how you get. You would see so many people throwing, you know, all these fancy stuff on your Instagram and stuff, like where they're doing like a reverse Nordic and some of the stuff that I've done before, like, you know, where you come all the way down and come all the way back up. And that comes off the back of that mobility, you know, working on the couch stretch, you know, stuff like that. That's what got me so strong. A split squat got my hip flex, and doing other hip flexor work, got my hip flexors so long, so that when I could go all the way down, because I had that mobility on reverse Nordic, I have the hip strength and I have the lower back strength and everything, and the quad strength to be able to flex and come back up. It's just all works together.
So many people as well, they like you hear them, especially after they've played footy for a career or they've done something, you know, quite impactful on the body for years and years, and they come out and be like, oh, I can't run anymore, or I can't do this. It's like, no. It's just like the issue is that your knees are weak. It's not they're injured, they're just weak, or like, oh, my lower back's bad, so I can't play cricket anymore. It's like, no, your lower back is just weak. It's not injured, it's just weak.
That's right. And it's not always like your muscles may be strong, but you might have weak connective tissues and, you know, ligaments and tendons. And that's where full range of motion, a lot of that stuff is going to create and restructure that area and make it stronger, not just your muscles. So a lot of people, it's like a lot of people have tendon issues and stuff, and it's just a simple matter of that they're not strong enough. Your muscles are too strong, and your body can't handle it yet. So you have to regress and find what works. But everyone's strong through, you know, muscles and stuff like that. But a lot of people don't have that connective tissue strength, strong tendons, ligaments, you know, all that sort of stuff. And all those movements are going to challenge those areas and force them to adapt and change.
You know, the one thing where I've seen almost immediate, and I'm talking like within weeks, I've seen immediate change in my shoulder strength was doing that one where you're sitting like that.
Oh, your rotator cuff.
Yeah, like the rotator cuff one, and starting off with just a couple kilos, but getting that full range of movement right up and then right down. I'd do that, and now I have no issues at all throwing any sort of weight above my head. When, you know, in the past I've had a shoulder recon and my other shoulder is quite bad as well, and throwing weights above my head was generally a no-no. Like a military press was a no-no. You know, and I did this for weeks, and then I picked up the Olympic bar and with, you know, 10 kilos on either side and started doing military press. And I'm like, I've got no pain here, because I've just, you know, I got through that strengthening, and you got to get through a little bit of pain with it. I think you got to ease yourself through with a little bit of pain. But yeah, when you showed that to me, and then when I did it, it was almost like within weeks I seen good progression, which is something that I've been trying to deal with for like years. And then, I just seen one thing, and it was like, wow.
Yeah, I had my shoulder reconned as well. And the guy said to me he's like, it will never be the same sort of thing. You'll never have that range either. It's always going to be tight. And I couldn't even have my hands behind my head like this. I couldn't get a squat bar on my back when I started. And now I'm, you know, like my shoulders are so strong. Like it's a combination of that sort of principles of range training, strengthening those. And also I do a lot of handstand stuff, a lot of what's it called? Like it's like gymnastics, and there's another term what it's called. But yeah, I do a lot of that stuff. I'm on parallel bars doing handstand push-ups, and that just took my shoulder strength like to the next level. Like I don't even bench press, and I haven't bench pressed for for months. The last time I jumped on a bench press, I PR'd bench press, and I hadn't beat bench press for several months before that. I just jumped on and PR'd it. Like I haven't lifted that sort of weight that I did in like a decade, and before I did my shoulder, and I've just PR'd it, and I don't even do bench press.
What did you bench?
It was like 100 plus for a few reps, but like for me, like a shoulder, that was a no. Like just don't even get on that thing. So I'm just doing 100, and a lot of people are super strong. A bench press has actually been a real weak point for me, but just the combination of all that stuff, doing a lot of handstand stuff. It made a huge difference for me. Like, to have the strength to be able to be on my hands and do push-ups and crap like that. Like my shoulder strength now is just skyrocketed. Like, if I was to return for footy, for example, it was always just heavily strapped. I wouldn't even strap it.
Like I consider my shoulder recon shoulder now stronger than my actual other shoulder, which is, weird because like it's not supposed to be like that, but I've put in so much work on that specific shoulder when I've got both of them strong. But I don't feel like I've had anything done to it now. Where the years before, it was like I was similar. Like if I played footy, I'd strap it. If I went back to footy now, I wouldn't even bother, I don't think.
No, I have that much confidence in it. And that's funny you mention it because my left knee has been the knee. My right knee's never had an issue. And right now my left knee feels better than my right.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually, probably a little bit similar. My left knee is a knee recon one. And I actually find when I'm doing ATG split squats, I'm stronger on that side, which is weird. Maybe it's because I've put more work into that side, knowing that's the injured side.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, the one thing that I need to do is definitely get my soleus muscle up and running and strengthened to a point where they're just bulletproofed. So when I am,
but you can just to the point that you can tolerate more. That's all it is. Like you just need to be able to. This needs to be able to tolerate. Well, tolerate it to an extent. At some point, something's going to go wrong. Like Ned Brockman on that run that he just did, he had issues with the front of his tibia again, and he had that last time. So everyone's got their things. But it just needs to get to a point that you can tolerate more. Like I couldn't run for years, and then I got back, and then I slowly built up again, and then I came on here. I was only running 30 a week, and then I got it all up to 140s and running through the hills, doing tons of elevation, and then I had to reduce it again because I had injured myself being silly, and the plane ride issue I mentioned all that, and I had to regress back again. But it's amazing what your body can tolerate, but it just needs to get to the point that you can tolerate more, which comes with reps and time and. Like you said, you notice that stuff 3 to 6 months in. That's a great result because it might take years for some people.
And, going back to the point as well of what your body can tolerate, I remember how many Ks I was running before my first 100K ultra marathon. It was like I was maxing out at 30.
Which is wild. It's wild to think, like, to sign up for that and you're only doing 30 a week, like, and you still get it done, like... That day hurt. Yeah, it does. It's brutal, but and everyone it's the ultra run stuff. It's not like an aerobic thing. It's more about like the body just starts to break down, and when you get deep, it's more about the body just starts to break down, and it's what breaks and what people can tolerate.
Unfortunately for me on this race, my body was saying no, like K30, because especially with the flu. Like my body was just being like, all right, bro, you've got the flu. You shouldn't be running. You should be fucking resting. And I was just like, ah. But like at the same time, I'd slowed my pace down because of my calf, and I was just like, well, I'm feeling shit here, but I'm actually, like this is actually enjoyable. It's really nice weather. There was good people running the course as well, so I was chatting along the way. And it's also something I chose to do. So I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
I'm not going to stop.
That's what you wanted. That's what you wanted. You want to be in those positions, like a lot of people don't understand it, but like if you're in that sort of scene and you like doing things like that, like that's like Hyrox and stuff's really popular now. That's like kind of the new thing. Me and my mate were talking about it. I'm like, man, it sounds great, but I'm like, I just want to they hurt hard they go
an hour.
Yeah, they go hard, but I'm like, man, I just want to hurt for longer than that.
Yeah. Well, and like also as well. Yeah, like I understand it. I think Hyrox is a great thing, and I think CrossFit fumbled the ball that hard when that guy died over in the last game. So like now, because they've lost a lot of respect from that, so Hyrox is just taken and filling its spot.
It is,
but sure. Hyrox is also it can be done by people that can't do complex lifting. So the lifting they do in CrossFit is very complex. It needs technique. It needs a lot of practice. With Hyrox, you don't need that. right? You can just throw yourself into it, which is probably a bit of a leveler as well. But yeah, I like high rocks. You hurt, but you hurt for about an hour, right? And your muscles hurt. You but like your joints don't hurt. Your lower back doesn't hurt. Like if you run for over 10 hours, like everything, like even your hands start to like.
Yeah, because
crunch
it's
in.
a compounding effect.
Yeah, and like everything starts to break down on you, and then you got blisters everywhere. Like I didn't do really good feet blister management, and my blisters just went fucking nuts. I was just every 5 or 6K one would burst, and it would get really really sore, and then it would reform into a blister.
Yeah, you don't realize what you're doing when you're doing, because it's like 10 hours of it. Like you might get it for an hour or two, and you don't even notice anything. But like when you've been doing it for 10 hours, like I went for a long run on the trails with an ultra vest and no shirt. Fuck, cuts all over me, man. I was bleeding. I was like, oh fuck, this doesn't usually happen.
Yeah, I made the really stupid mistake of wearing a chest strap on that 115K.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I took it off and I just had cuts all under my
Which
chest
is never
line.
a factor usually.
Nah, but I didn't even notice it, to be honest. Everything else was that other sore and I didn't even notice it.
That's fucking nothing, isn't it? In the scheme of things when you're in that.
But, I probably got to about 50K, and when I got about halfway, which was like 57K, there was a checkpoint there, and the calf had sort of settled down a little bit, but I had the hardest part of the course to come up. And at about 60K, I was going up a hill, and I thought, I'm going to just push it a little bit here, thinking that there's no calf injury. But there clearly was, and it went even worse. And then the next time, Steph seen me running in because there was like a checkpoint they couldn't get to, so I seen him at K85 after that. So there was like a 13.5, and then there was a 16.5 leg Ks. So I didn't see him for like 5 hours because that was the most technical part of the course as well. And I just came in limping to that 85K checkpoint. And it was like 6 o'clock in the afternoon. My projected time finish was 1 a.m. And I just thought to myself, it was sort of funny. I was coming down to that and I seen Steph there because she sort of ran out about 500 meters to run back with me into it. And she said, how you feeling? I'm like, yeah, I'm all right. But like 5 minutes before I had a little thought in my head where it was like, no one's gonna think ill of you if you pull the pin at K85. This calf has gotten really, really bad.
It could be something, you could do an Achilles.
Yeah, and I'm literally being reduced to 9-minute Ks because I just can't get moving because the calf feels like it's about to rip off the bone. And I thought to myself, no one's going to say anything if you stop. But then I thought as well, I said to myself, if you keep that talk up, when we get to the 115K finish line, we're turning around and going again. If you fucking mention that, and then after that, I just didn't say anything, and I just kept running. But and like, man, one of my mates has this great saying that he said on my podcast, episode 7, Ryan Fox. It's and I posted about it the other day, and it's like, what do people ask you? And I think this is one of the most correct things about being in the military, but he just said, what's one of you, like, you often get asked about what's one of the most things, or what's one of the things that you learned from being in the military, and he reckons he knows what he's capable of, because when the going gets tough and people will stop getting watered and they stop having sleep and there's no food coming in, like, are you going to stop?
People often ask you, like, I think it's a good question, like, what's the one thing you learned out of the military, or what's the one thing you've taken away? And I think I know what I'm capable of, which is pretty heavy, dude. You know what you can do. When no one's getting fed and no one's getting watered and everyone's body's breaking down, like, are you going to stop?
And I just think to myself in those moments, it's like, well, no, I've been through so much more than this.
Yeah, exactly.
And I got to K85 and I thought, look, I'll just keep running in. It's going to be slow. Until I got to like fucking K100, and there was this, as I was running in, and like by this time it's pitch black. I'm thinking someone's running behind me the whole time. I'm getting like a little bit weird, a little bit wigged out. I've been up since 3 a.m. It's like 10 p.m. at night. I'm pretty much exhausted. I've got the flu. I've had a calf injury, and I can hear constant footsteps behind me, and it's dark, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? And then all of a sudden, I'm running through this field because the Hyson Trail obviously runs through private property as well. So there's someone like shooting rabbits on the opposite field, spotlighting. I've got my head torch on, and I'm hearing these like shots being fired off the back of this fucking off the back of this 4-wheel drive, shooting rabbits or foxes or whatever they were doing. And I'm just like got into the last checkpoint, just exhausted and a little bit like just wigging out a little bit as well because of those shots. And I'm thinking someone's running behind me.
Yeah, the old paranoia.
Mate,
running paranoia.
It was weird as. It was so weird. It's the first time it's ever happened to me where I'm thinking someone's running behind me with footsteps.
I've had delusion running, like in terms of like I think something's happening and it's not, especially when you're on trails and it's dark and you're on your own.
Yeah.
You're like, what was that?
And that's exactly what it was like. I was completely on my own because you know how these races, right? You run these big races and you're so far stretched out from people that it's like 3 or 4K difference between some of the runners coming in, and you know they'll obviously the early ones getting quicker, they're more bunched up. But as the race goes on, it could be an hour between someone finishing and not finishing.
Yeah,
and so no one's around, no one's with me, and it's pitch black. And
it's a good race, that Hyson one, man. I fucking wanted to jump in it. I really did. I just wasn't ready in time.
Yeah,
I really want to, man. I went for a little training run to see if the body got through that, and it was fine. I would have jumped in, but I just
next year
messed around and found out, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's always next year. Do you know? Yeah, next year they're doing one where you can you get this. It's just another race. You do the 1:15 and then you back up and do the 50K the next day.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
which would be pretty brutal.
Which is I don't know, man. Everyone's different, but see, for me, people because some people like the idea of it, especially thanks to Ned Brockman and stuff.
I like the idea of it, definitely.
Ned Brockman's done an amazing job, and he's phenomenal stuff that he's done. But he's also inspired a lot of people to start running far, probably a little bit too soon. But a lot of people like the idea of it until you're running for that long, like you said, and you're thinking back to what your mate says. You've got to have a pretty fucking good reason why you want to do it. Because if you don't, you're not going to be able to answer those questions when it comes up. When all those questions come in your head and you're saying, I'm doing this and I've been through more. You need to be able to answer those questions. Because if you don't, you're fucked, basically.
Or you need to be able to switch that off.
Yeah,
right?
And I know for me, I fucking just love it. And I found out, years and years ago, I found out that that's when I'm at my best, is in that sort of those situations. And I'm like, people are like, I hate running. That's why I do it, because I fucking hate it. I'm like, man, I do it because I fucking love it and I have so much fun. So everyone's got different reasons for it, but you just got to be able to answer those questions because they're going to come up. And sometimes you go for a run, you're like, fuck, I feel like shit. And it's like you've run 5 kilometers. But you can answer that question, if you've got the right reasons for being there in the first place.
Yeah, I had a guy called Ben Seymour on my podcast in episode 11, and he spoke about being able to turn that voice off in your head. So the voice that is asking questions, instead of having to answer it, he just turned it off.
Yeah, well, it's like exercising. It's like training. You're training your muscles. It's the same thing. The more times you answer that question, the more times you can shut it off. The more times you say no or you answer that question, it's that's why I'm very big on not quitting things, and seeing things out, because the more you open the door to that, the easier it is to take that exit, and the more you will take it. The more you see things out, the more you don't do it, to the point that it's just not even a question. It's automatic. That's why ice baths in the morning is a great tool, because you're doing that every day, but to the point that it's not a thing anymore. And that's how you approach those things. You build up so much momentum in the right direction that you're never taking that door. But you take that door all the time. It's fucking there, and you always take it. And that's what, unfortunately, people who are in a vulnerable mindset do, is that the door opens and they just fucking, yep, that's me, I'm out. Oh, something hurts, or yep, something hurts, I'm not going to do it. Instead of having that mindset where, nah, we're getting it fucking done, no matter what. But that's because you've done that so many times and you've said no so many times,
Yeah, and I think, the problem with quitting, it becomes a habit.
Yeah.
And, the more you quit, the more you continuously quit in the future. and
Yeah, exactly.
with everything you do. And
Exactly, and it will just roll into everything, and that's why I like doing hard things, because it rolls into every aspect of my life. Like me doing stuff around the house isn't hard because I've endured my mornings way harder than some stuff around the house, you know. But some people don't even have the energy to do that stuff around the house, so that's why I think exercise is so important for your health, your mental health, you know, because you have a strong mind, you're going to get a lot further than the physical. So it's very important to be physically strong, but also mentally strong. And doing all those things that you don't want to do regularly is how you build that strength. You know, you callous it as if you will, you know. I know a lot of people talk about callousing their mind, and David Goggins and people like that, which is, you know, it's not about going out there and seeing how tough you are because it looks cool. It's about you being a better person and finding out what makes you better.
Definitely. I also think as well, you know, there's a physical side of it, right, and callousing your body and your mind, but also as well, a lot of people get caught up in a bad diet, which obviously and then they eat too much sugar and that affects their decisions. And people don't know this, but it 100% does. If you have a shitty diet, then it's not going to get you in the mood to train and all. It's like one of the first things I tell people if they come and ask me, like, oh, what's one of the first things I should start to do if I want to turn things around? It's like, you need to understand that when you feed your body good nutrition and you like wake up and you be like, fuck, this is how my body operates if I feed it good food, then you start to see some really huge changes in like your decision making and your headspace, and then you get into training as well. And if you put all that together and you're like, fuck, man, I've got my diet right. I've got this machine that I have, which is my body, and I'm feeding it good, nutritious food, plenty of meat, plenty of protein, and I'm working out at the same time. And then I'm sleeping 8 hours and I'm, you know, putting my body first. It's like, man, you don't understand how clear your headspace can be. And like it's even, I think it's even made me like easier to be able to take in information as well. Through dieting and training. Like it's almost like you become smarter.
Yeah. No, I think diet is super important. I think as well, people got to have a healthy relationship with food, because a lot of people, it's one extreme to the other. And one extreme of the scale isn't sustainable for a lot of people. Some people don't have an issue being extreme with food. Like I love food and I love good food, and I'm like a Labrador. I'll just keep eating.
Don't get me wrong. I'll eat ice cream or something like that. With,
yeah,
you know, once a week with my wife and stuff like that.
But yeah, it's just about balance.
Yeah,
and yeah, like when you eat a lot of shit food, you feel shit. And that just rolls in. But yeah, I think you got to look at it as like a reward, not like a reward system, but like just having a good balance, a healthy balance of the right things. Some people don't feel like they need it, and if they don't need it, great. But if you're one of those people that likes eating foods that are quote unquote not good for you, it's more about moderation, right? And yeah, like moderating those foods and controlling them and having a healthy relationship. Because if you go to the other extreme, it's not sustainable for anyone. Like so many people, it's like you see them 1 minute and they're really skinny and they look good, and the next minute they're blown out again, and it's just a constant fucking circle.
Yeah.
It's because they don't have healthy relationships with food. It's more, you just got to think of it as like, what's sustainable for me? And it's not, let's try and lose 10 kilos in a month. Let's just lose the correct amount of weight and not have an unhealthy relationship with food. So when you go out with your friends, you're not thinking about what you're eating and what you're drinking. And yeah, in terms of performance, man, like nutrition is like, it's unreal what nutrition can do for you. Just staying hydrated and having carbohydrates and sodium, all that stuff on running in terms of performance. Like before, I was still somewhat, I got off the plane from Thailand. I got back, landed, got back really like, and, you know, after it was like 24 hours of travel, and then, you know, got home that evening, went to sleep, woke up and did a full marathon the next day. But I had a full hydration plan the whole time. Man, it felt effortless. It felt like I was gliding. And I felt like I could just do it all day. And that's the difference between having, you know, the right nutrition.
Yeah, I used to stupidly run like 20, 25K with no water or without gels.
Yeah,
and then, stupid. You know, when I was reading up about it, it's like that's the dumbest shit you can do.
You're just leaving shit at the table for yourself. Like I did 54 with nothing. No stops, nothing. And my mates who were training for Ironmans looked at me like, what are you a fucking idiot? And I was like, it's like my badge of honor, like, yeah. But realistically, it's like, look at what you're leaving at the table for yourself. You're just leaving shit at the table. Like, you want to perform even better. You're leaving yourself short by, you know, not doing the right things. Like, you want to be your best. You got to do what makes you your best. You don't leave shit at the table. And that's literally what it is with that sort of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. definitely. The one thing I love about ultras is all the food you can eat.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, I was having like sausage rolls, which like this is stuff I never normally eat, right? And I won't normally eat this stuff, but I was having like sausage rolls, donuts, heaps of lollies.
You need sugar, man.
And that's the thing with them. Like they just got a smorgasbord of stuff, you can eat, and it's actually quite enjoyable. You pull up and it's like, man,
you need calories as well. Like that's the reality of it. And you need lots of calories, you need lots of sugar, you need lots of salt, and you need to be hydrated. So like, yeah, and especially even when you're doing that sort of volume of training. When I was like hitting those big numbers through the week, running, and I was also cycling as well, I was just like, man, it's just getting enough calories in. And yeah, unfortunately, like, you need to eat a lot of food. And that's because I love eating food. It's not a chore for me. But yeah, like in endurance, you need so many calories.
Yeah, like my plan was for the 115, and it turned out perfectly. I didn't really feel like I lapped in energy at all. My stomach didn't reject anything at all. But I was having like 2 to 3 salt tablets and a gel every half an hour every half an hour for the entire race. And then obviously when I got into the aid station, I was throwing in sausage rolls, donuts, and shit like that. But the importance of throwing down a gel every half an hour with salt tablets. When a lot of people were vomiting and cramping, I got none of that. Yeah,
it's unreal. The nutrition side of things, it's phenomenal. Like I have the moment I think of what I have Tailwind, and that's just liquid, and I take that in the vest, and it's phenomenal. You just feel like you can keep going. It's just crazy how different it can look for you when you structure things the right way.
It's definitely some of the learning things and unfortunately I've learned through trial and error, but that's the way I enjoy learning them.
Yeah, that's how most people learn, man. You got to go out and find out for yourself. And some people find out the right way, some people find out the wrong way. Like some people need to be pushed, some people need to be pulled back. Obviously, you need to be pulled back. I need to be pulled back. Like I'm good at giving advice and telling people what they need to do. I know what I need to do for my own body, whether or not I stick to that.
And there's always that little fucking voice in the back of your head that's like, go for another run.
Nah, man. And I'm the worst for it. Like I could have easily just avoided a lot of things if I just took a step back, but I can't help it.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Sorry. I can't do that. Like that training run, that was like my qualification. I'm like, if I'll do this, because I know we spoke about jumping into that, the Hyson, sorry. I was like, yeah, if I just get through the 6-hour run, I'll do it. And man, I knew how bad because I injured myself. Long story being, it's not a long story, but being silly on my right leg. I've had an RTB issue. And I was like, nah, I'll be fine. And I go out for a 6-hour run as a tester, and I did it overnight, so I'd be tired.
Is that the one where you pulled it and had to
pull it? I pulled it, man, because I was like, I was 3 and a bit hours in, and I'd also been away in Melbourne for just to piss up with my mates. We went to a concert over there. So I just got back, and then I went out for dinner with my in-laws and my family, and then I left. And then I got home and packed my shit up and went for the 6-hour run. I'm like, if I get through this and my body doesn't say like fuck you, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But man, I just had to pull it. I was like, look, man, I can get through this, no worries. I could definitely do this, but I know this isn't going to be good. And I'm going to set myself back. So in that instance, I actually made the right decision and put a stop to it, and had to get an Uber home at midnight, which is, I've only had to get an Uber home once before, and it was, it's just fucking shit, I
had misery on the ride home.
Yeah, and I was like, for fuck's sake, man, I really wanted that. But unfortunately, I wasn't ready, which sucked, because literally like 3 weeks before, I gobbled up a marathon, and it felt effortless. And here I am, 3 hours into a 6-hour run, and I couldn't do it. So you have those mental battles, man, but you just need to check your ego sometimes. Like, man, I could have gotten through that, no worries. But it's like, I'm not in a sanctioned race here. It's just a training run. So I'm like, man, be smart for once. Just fucking listen.
Yeah. Checking that ego is so important.
It is, man. And that's anyone's biggest problem is their own ego. And that's what sets me back so many times is my own ego. And sometimes it just, you just need to go, man, just chill out. But then there's the opposite people who need that push, so.
That's one of my biggest things is my ego. Trying to always run further than my last run and stuff like that. It's just consistent battle with it. But it's like, I think I would rather be battling my ego than battling my motivation.
Yeah, that's right. Like it's the amount of times I don't listen. Like, and I had on my run, it was supposed to be 3 hours hilly trails, easy. And I go out and I'm like, yeah, this is easy. I'm only doing 530 per K, but there's like nearly 1,000 meters of elevation in it. And, you know, it's in the peak of the day. You know, it's hot. And I'm like, this is easy. And then I look back at the run and that's when I really did a number on myself. And I look back at it and I didn't have enough hydration. And I'm looking through Strava and then I'm getting the comms, like the fastest time up hills. And I'm like, this isn't easy, you fucking idiot. Like, you know what I mean? So you just got to really rein yourself back and check your ego, man. It's hard one. And not like, you know, not worry about other people, just worry about yourself. And that's what can be a bit of a sucker, looking at what other people are doing. And you're like thinking about, oh, why can't I? Or what should I do? But you just got to not worry about it, which is hard, but you just not got to.
That's why I don't have that Strava app. Because, man, I reckon it's just a big dick measuring contest.
It can, well, man, the problem is with me, is I look at it and I go, oh, this is how much. I know it's just an accountability of how much work I've done, and that's what I use it as a tool, and it's a great tool. But I don't really look at other people's stuff because I don't really care, to be honest. Like, it's not really my business. But that's what I use it for, accountability. But the problem is, I know exactly how far, I know exactly how much elevation, and when I was doing big numbers, I was like, oh, okay, 140 this week with only 1,500. I'm like, let's try and get 2,000. Like, so I'm running in the hills and doing all this shit, and it's like, probably wasn't entirely ready for it, and that might have been my undoing, and that might have been why I came down with a few issues later, like when I started to do other stuff.
Do you ever look at other people's stuff and go, oh, I want to run further than him?
Not competitively. I look at, like I've mentioned, Simon, who out of New Zealand. He does some wild stuff. He's a machine, and I'm like, I want to get to that point one day. But I don't look at other people and go, oh, I want to run further or run more. I actually get jealous, if anything. Like, watching guys have that opportunity to go into that and do it, that just makes me envious. Like, I want to do it. I want to be there. Like, you know, when I ran with you and you did your 100, I paced you for the last 20. I was like, man, I just want to be in that position where, you know, you're fucked and you just don't want, you know, like, I just want to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a hard slog, that last 19K. That was the first one I'd done, right, where I'd got to that distance. But that's where I had them knee injuries pull up and the ankle injuries as well. And, man, from how, like, the next 2 weeks after that run, I couldn't run for 6 weeks after because of that knee injury. But, like, how I rebounded this run compared to that run, like, if I didn't have my calf injury, I reckon I would have been back running by Wednesday, which is, like, 4 days after. And that's with all that knee prep that I did, right, and all the prep that you showed me to do. With that 100K one where I did no prep at all, I just threw myself into it. It was like 6 weeks to getting back to running. And that's not like, that was a bad knee, but that was also the ankles and both knees. They were just cooked.
Yeah, it's brutal. I remember that.
But it just shows you if, like, how important strengthening program is and full flexion of movement and stuff like that.
It is, because you're remodeling your joints. Like, that's what you're doing. You're creating a change in the joint. And I said muscles and everything are great, but you want to change the internal structures so they can tolerate things.
Which is, it's just so underrated.
Yeah, 100%, man. It really is. And it doesn't have to be like a ATG program. Like, there's so many good strength coaches out there that have social media and they're all doing different things, but it's the same sort of principles. And obviously Ben Patrick's a big one. Everyone knows him, a knees over toes guy. He's a great guy. A lot of people have challenged him on a lot of things and he just doesn't give it the shed of light, which is good. He's just a really positive, optimistic guy. He's been really good because obviously he's the one that pointed me in the direction. Spent a lot of time talking to him and it changed my body completely. I've sent him a lot of thank you messages and he's just a super nice guy, man. He really is.
What's next on the horizon for you?
Well, I'm running at the moment. So me personally, running, strength training, bit of cycling. But yeah, I'm overcoming this ITB issue, which came from doing stupid stuff. Wasn't even running. I was supposed to be resting. So like I just was like having a week off, taking it easy, and then I injured my right leg.
I can't have them weeks, man. I find it so hard.
Dude, I'm out in the backyard doing shit, jumping around with my kids, doing fucking backflips and fucking all this shit, and that's how it happened.
Like even the week after my recent race, I just felt like such a lazy piece of shit lying around all week. And I was like, I'm still getting over the flu. So I was like, I have to rest, can't get in the gym. And I had a week off and I just felt like a lazy person.
It's hard, man. It's really hard. I struggle with it. So I'm always doing something. There's always something I'm doing. So, but yeah, I'm still running focused, and I was right there. Like I was right there before I went to Thailand for work, and I had that run, and it just bonked me. And then I had started dealing with a few injuries, and then I'm having to overcome them. So I haven't bounced back from that yet. But yeah, I was right there. Like physically, I was flying. Like I felt, as I said, I was normalizing marathon distances, and I was running them relatively quick with a low heart rate. So that was giving me a lot of confidence that I could withstand, 120, 130K run, hopefully.
In good time as well.
Yeah. I wanted to race them. I wanted to run them. I didn't want to death march them. Like I wanted to, we want to race them. Like, and that's what your goal is. You're not going out there with the goal of, hey, I just want to finish anymore. You actually want to run them. So,
yeah, that was the most disappointing thing about doing the calf early. Saying that was going to hopefully take me, sub 14 hours. I sort of wanted to run that in, and 12 hours I would have been really happy with. But to come in 17 hours, 59 minutes and 15 seconds.
Yeah, it's brutal. You want to run it, like, and that's for me anyway. Like I want to run these things. I was supposed to do 120 on the 26th of September. So my plan was to do 126, and then in a few weeks jump in that Hyson and do that. I just fell apart right at the last minute, and so I had to cancel that. I had to cancel that run that I wanted to do, and then I was like, okay, if I can get through a 6-hour training run, I'll do the Hyson. But I couldn't without severe damage. I had to go to work the next day, and I was like fucking in so much pain. I was like, for fuck's sake. So I had to shut it down and just shut everything down. Well, not shut it down. I've had to regress. So I'm only running like 30, 40 Ks a week now again, and a bit of bike and strength and mobility until things get better. And a few flips.
Yeah, a few backflips.
A few things,
they're hilarious. Especially when you do them on stage with the 30 Seconds to Mars guy.
Yeah, that was unreal, eh? Lucky I didn't land on my head because I had about 20 drinks leading into that, man. Fucking so lucky I didn't land on my head in front of a sold-out crowd of people.
Mate,
very lucky.
Would have made a viral moment.
It would have been. I would have been a meme. It would have been a viral meme.
The backflip guy.
The backflip guy lands on his head in front of Jared Leto and his brother.
Nah, brilliant stuff. Maybe you can join me in a 50K leg when I'm getting close to Adelaide.
Man, I'll be all for it, eh?
I think I've got I have a couple of mates that said they were going to come out and finish those legs with me.
Bring out me. I'll just be full of fucking energy and vibes.
No headphones though.
Nah, no headphones.
I don't want to hear that.
I'll have to hit out Ned Brockman and be like, mate, your run doesn't count, motherfucker, because you wore headphones.
Did he?
Yeah, he loves music, man.
I thought he was a runner without headphones.
Nah, he's a massive music guy.
Yeah.
I don't know him personally, but he's always singing songs and stuff, and I'm big on music. I love it. I'm a big music guy, so but I love it. But I can also run without headphones. So it doesn't phase a player no matter what. Like when I did the 90K overnight, I didn't for the last like 4 or 5 hours I just took the headphones off because I had to go full.
Yeah, I've never been a headphone runner.
If you need music to get you through your run, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Or you don't have enough of a reason to why, or you're not physically there yet. You need to do more work. If you're looking, is music's what's getting you through a run, I'd be a bit worried.
Yeah, I've always said to people that run with no music, obviously gym is different. I think because half the time I'm wearing my headphones at the gym.
You want to hear some dude grunting in the background.
Yeah, that's it. Just so people don't come talk to me. I'm a bit of a weirdo like that. But run without music, and you just, especially because you just got to understand the thoughts that go through your mind, and because music can turn that voice off in your head, about, should you do this or should you do that? And people run, they're like, oh yeah, I ran for an hour and I was listening to this music and it felt like it just went really easily. It's like, we'll take the music off.
I don't even think, when I listen to, sometimes, man, like I don't even think when I run and I'm like, it's over. Or sometimes, but then sometimes I'm thinking about it the whole run. But I find if I don't listen to music when I run, I'm just talking to myself the whole time.
People must run past me or walk past me, or when I'm running the park or whatever, and just think that there's this weirdo talking to himself.
Yeah, man.
My lips are moving and my eyes are darting around, and I can see myself running and like what I'm doing. And sometimes you're doing it, you don't notice you're doing it, and then someone will walk past you and they'll be like fuck, like they got a weird look on their face because I've just been like chirping to myself or something.
Yeah, I'm very chatty if I go on runs with people. So like that's why I probably annoy the shit out of people when I run with them because I'm just don't shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I'm just very chatty, man. And I've paced a few of my mates for the few of their marathons, and I was just fucking yapping the whole time. They're probably like, "Dude, shut up!" Like I'm just trying to get through this, and you won't shut up.
Yeah, that's one of the best things about ultra marathons as well is the people you talk to along the way.
Yeah, and that's why I want to do an event. Like I want to get in ones because these people, man, you're in it. You've got people there, and everyone's doing their thing. Looks like a good vibe.
And most of them are, most of them are different as well.
You get some operators, man.
You
Look
do.
up. There's a guy called Andy Glaze on Instagram. Fuck, he's just like this skinny. He looks like he's your ultra runner. Like he runs about 100 miles a week, no matter what. And
loves it.
he's just a machine. But like you would never pick it. He's just a skinny, kind of gangly guy. He's a vegan.
Yeah.
Not that any of that matters, but he's an animal. Like you know what I mean. So like you look at these people and you go, oh, fucking, you might look a bit funny, but man, these guys are throwing down.
Yeah.
So. You got to respect anyone, man, that can go out there and just do their thing. But yeah, he's a vintage ultra runner, and I love him. I think he's the man. He just goes out every week, 100-mile weeks, and he does his ultras. He'll go do Moab 250 or 240. Sorry, he does all these races, and he still gets his 100 miles in a week.
That's brutal.
Yeah, and he's just like,
How old is he?
I reckon he's in his 50s, man.
Yeah,
and he's just throwing down. Like he doesn't go fast, man, but like and people give him shit for it. Like, oh, you just walking, and it's like, man. You go do 100 miles a week.
Yeah.
Like he's just out there all the time, man. Just living it.
Just loves it.
So shout outs to him.
Yeah. It's huge, man. What people can continuously do, especially at the age they do it at. Like I want to be running ultra marathons right up until I'm 60.
I think it's, man, that like as you get older, it seems to be what people get into. It's like having a midlife crisis. You finish your sports and a lot of guys will go play golf, but then some guys get into endurance, and then you start doing all this endurance stuff. And yeah, a lot of guys peak when start hitting their prime as they get older and this sort of stuff. Because it's not like you're not relying on fast twitch muscle fibers.
Yeah,
it's more endurance. And all these old guys, they start hitting their peak as they get older. So exciting times for us old boys.
Yeah, I have found though that it's like they are getting easier. I know that sounds crazy, but they are getting easier. The more I do longer runs. And ultra marathons, so the easier they get.
Yeah, of course. It's because you've been there before. Like how much more? I think in your head, just entering that race, you can do it because you've been there, and you in your head how much training you did for the last one and how much you did this time. So you just would have had supreme confidence. You're just like, I'm going to get this done.
Yeah.
Like what's 15 more Ks on top of 100? It ain't that much, but it probably is when you get to K100.
Yeah. It was about 2 hours worth of running.
Yeah, it probably felt pretty fucking brutal, man.
But and I reckon I overshot my mark for that as well, just in the training. I reckon I peaked about 4 weeks out where I was consistently having 100K weeks, and I had my 140K week, and then I did a few runs after that, and I'm like, all right. And then I reckon I peaked a bit too early on it. But obviously that's why it's when you get a coach, man. Like they know exactly what to do.
Yeah, and they'll rein you back and they'll pull you back. Because you just get obsessive with things. I became obsessed with hills running, like going up into the hills and running through there. Yeah. And that became my thing. It's like I want like elevation. Like I'm like, this is the best. And then man, it did wonders though for my aerobic capacity because you're just challenging your body uphill. So yeah, I'm a big fan of hills running. And that's the only type of running that has you questioning your decisions. Like when I'm running uphill, I'm pretty quiet. When I'm coming down and I'm flat, I've got plenty to say. But when I'm on those hills, it's pretty quiet.
Yeah, that's I really struggled on the downhills with my calf because it just seemed to be that when I was putting that pressure on it, like I couldn't run downhill fast.
Yeah,
which is the most annoying thing because as you know, on these long runs, you really take advantage of the downhills. To get a bit more speed down and to save some energy and stuff like that. But I just moving too slow. The calf
also
just
like
held up too much.
A lot of these ultra runners, I don't know. I've started looking into a little bit like running cadence, like your steps. Like what does your cadence look like? Because that would have a compounding effect over time. So a lot of these guys, man, they kind of look like they're just touching the ground like they're on hot coals almost. You know? So they barely have foot contact to ground, and which over a long run, that's going to make a huge difference. So I've looked at it. I went for a run. I tried to like increase my cadence. I just was like, it just doesn't feel right, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, that's another way to sort of trick your body into longer stuff and tolerating longer things would be increasing your cadence. But yeah,
Well, yeah, obviously that would work because your muscles are less stretching out. So when you get to what K75, everything's sore. So the cadence running more or higher cadence running would be more beneficial because your muscles would be not being used as much.
and just getting punched, you know.
Yeah.
And that's like, you know, and that's the thing with these sorts of training runs. You just got to prepare the body. It's the same thing as the strength and mobility. You got to prepare the body. Like, I'm not going to bring you down to the gym and we throw 100 on the squat rack and I go, all right, I want your ass to touch the floor. Like, I want your ass to hit the back of your heels. We're going to slowly build you into it, you know, like, and that's where you've got to think about your running as well. You can't just jump in. And that's the only problem with seeing people like Ned Brockman, who's just a freak. He's not only mentally tough as hell, he's a freak runner. Like, he's a really good runner. So seeing people like that is kind of dangerous because people go, oh yeah, I'm going to start running. And then their mileage just goes from fucking here to like here. And then they go, oh man, my Achilles hurts. It's like, fucking of course it does. Like, it's got to be a progressively slow thing, build the body, but no one wants to respect it enough. So you don't respect it enough, you find out the hard way, and then you're back to square one, and then you've got an Achilles issue, and then it might take you 14 months to get over that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. This is where everyone needs a coach.
Yeah, man. Just someone to say, hey, man, fucking relax. There's a guy, he's got a really good coach. I fucking love him. He's on, he's Nick Bear. Have you heard of Nick Bear before?
Yeah.
He's got his running coach. Oh, what's his name? He's got a full American accent and he's elite. I'm like, fuck, man, he'd be the best coach. He's just so passionate, man. And I'm like, I want him.
That Nick Bear, he's an absolute bar or bear. Anyway, he's an absolute freak.
Yeah, man, he's a big boy and he can fucking run.
Yeah.
But he couldn't, man. When he first started, because when he first started running is when I first started running. So, and I came across him and he did his marathon and he ran it. I think his first one was like 3 hours and, well, it might have been 4 hours. And his second one was like 3:40 and then he went for a sub 3 and went 3:40 again. So he wasn't an amazing runner, but he's just very consistent in his work. He's very consistent, and that's where he's becoming a really good runner.
Yeah, he's disciplined.
Because his starting point was not that, you know, but then now he's elite. Like,
Yeah, he ran a 4-hour marathon. Like,
Oh no, he ran like I think his PR was like 2:39 or something.
no, yeah,
like
when he first started though.
Yeah.
When he first started, it was.
Yeah.
I remember it was like and you see the picture of him. He's a big dude, and it was. I think it was a 4:05 marathon he ran.
Yeah, and I remember like, and this is the problem. This is when the ego comes in, because that was when I first started running as well. I was like, man, he's only doing that. I'm like, man, I run marathons, so my starting point's better than his.
Yeah.
Like, and then you start comparing. That is the worst thing you can fucking do. Is compare to other people, man. It's the worst.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
It is, man. It really is. You just can't. And you get sucked in. Social media sucks you in. But you just got to look at, you know, it's good to be competitive, but you just got to mind your own business. Hey, like it's hard, man. It's a tricky one.
Talking about minding your own business, man. I've had some really, really fun. I've had some like stuff go viral recently, or not like my sort of viral. Right? I'll get like 250,000 views across TikTok. And
That's a lot, man.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people, dude. 250,000 people.
Yeah, and some of the comments, bro. So like 90% of a couple of them were like military ones. So there's a couple military posts, and of recent podcasts I've done, and like 90% of the comments are positive. And I go through and read, bro. Some of the comments are like wild, being like, It was a mate of mine talking about a night where we like lost 3 guys over in Afghan, and some of the comments are like, yeah, this is what happens when you go into countries you're not wanted in, and it's fucking brutal, bro. Like, if you do want to see it, go to my TikTok and just go to one of the pinned posts at the top, and then scroll down the bottom, and they are brutal. Look, I generally just screenshot them and send them to mates, and we laugh at it,
Man,
which is you know, because I just get joy out of it because it's funny.
Yeah, man. And you can't take shit personally.
Nah, not at all. I haven't commented back on any of them.
People just, no matter what, man, no matter how, you know, nice of a person you are, no matter what, people are going to challenge you on things and fucking take the piss out of you and say things, man, that could really, you know, rattle you up.
Even some of them after were like, oh, right after this incident, is this where you went out and shot up a bunch of civilians? And then someone wrote underneath like baby killers, and I'm just like,
Oh man.
fucking brutal. And here I am, I just like screen save it and then send it to mates, and we all just laugh at it in a group.
Yeah, man. Fuck. People get sucked in on that stuff, man. But I love the internet. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, I had people arguing. Like one time, they went on like a 50 comment thing, just flat out arguing hardcore on one of my TikTok posts. We got like 200,000 views, and they just went at it. I'm just sitting here. I'm like, man, this would be good for the algorithm.
Yeah, man. Fucking people, man, get so caught up in it, and so riled up as well. Like, it's not that deep half the time, man. But like, said, people just take it so personally. It's such a good thing, social media, but fuck, man, it is evil too. Like, it really is.
Yeah, well, especially like it's evil in the younger generation as well. Like massively evil, because you get all these kids that are getting so addicted to technology and social media from a young age, and it's becoming such a normalized thing. And like my mate put it the perfect way, who runs a veteran mentors camp, right? And the first thing they do is get these kids that are struggling is to they do a detox with social media and technology, where they take their phones away from them. And like these kids are struggling in the first couple of days because they can't get on their social media platforms. And he said it, you know, when in a very, very harsh, but I think it's very, very true, is that, you know, you get all these, unfortunately, like you get all these kids and their brains are still developing, right? And they're on these social media platforms, and a lot of them are getting into or suffering from like early stage depression and anxiety and stuff like that. And they're trying to get vilification from these social media influencers, who are most of them anxiety and depressed ridden. So it's like the young developing brains are trying to get vilification off these social media personalities, which probably have their own massive problems as well.
Man,
and it's just like it's like a cesspool of just
people
garbage.
On social media, man, they look and feel, they look and act a certain way, but you're only seeing what they want you to see, and that's what's so dangerous, man. And kids in social media, yeah, like imagine looking at somebody who's, you know, running at 3% body fat, and you know that's what you feel like the standard is, and that can just create body dysmorphia, and then you have all these insecurities. And unfortunately, that's what happens. I'm just referring to the fitness industry because I'm just in that sort of space, but it's just brutal, man. And yeah, I have kids. I watch my kids. I refer to all these sorts of things like games and stuff, like online games. I call it, like, you know, in social, all that stuff. It's like the kids' pokies. It's like the kids' pokie machines, man. And they're addictive to it. It's addictive.
Yeah.
It's addictive to adults. But the old kids' pokie machines, like that's what you go to, like the Royal Show, man. And I'm with the Royal Show with my kids. And I'm like, here we go. It's the kids' pokies. Here we go. Like we're at the kids' pokies. We can just throw money away.
Yeah.
But then they love it, and it's addictive. You win toys. It's the same thing as fucking playing a fucking pokie machine, man.
Yeah. What do you think about iPads and that? With your kids?
Man, like my oldest son, he loves them, but he hasn't had one for 12 months because he became too addicted to it. And
so you took it off him?
Yeah, because it's all we talk about. It's just all he's talking about. He's obsessive like me, so he needs to be busy. And I understand that. My wife understands that. But we could see where it was going, and we're like, nah, and it was making him a horrible person. And even now we moderate him because it turns him evil, and he turns possessive and obsessive. He's an obsessive person, which is good for me because I didn't have that sort of guidance growing up, so I didn't know what to do. But you know, with him, I know exactly what he's like. I know exactly what we need to do with him. You know, so like I just need to keep him busy. And the good thing is, I can be like, hey mate, you want to go out? And he's like, yep, where are we going? And I'll take him with me.
Well, lucky he's got a good parent to. Because a lot of parents and, you know, they see these devices as a babysitter.
Yeah.
Right. Because and look, everyone's busy. I understand that everyone is busy. They've got their own stuff to do. They're dealing with their own shit. And you've got a younger person there, or your kid, you know, trying to get all this attention off you. And it's all right, just have your iPad.
Sometimes
then you'll just shut up.
It's easier to just give them something and they'll leave you alone, which 100%, like I understand that. And look, I've done it before. Like 2 weeks ago, I went to a really busy beach here, like Henley Beach, and it's just busy as. And I had my two boys, and it's just me, and they're full steam. They don't stop for anyone, and they both run in different directions. And you know, it's pretty dangerous. I have to keep an eye on them and follow them everywhere. And so, pretty high stress situation. And then we went to lunch after, and my youngest son, he would just play with his cars and sit there. And but my oldest son, he won't stop moving. And I was like, you know what? Hey buddy, do you want to watch a video? He's like, yep. I'm like, all right, cool. here's your video for 10 minutes, but then we're done and that's it, you know. But so I understand it at times, but you know, you can't just give your kids those things. And it's just like moderation, man. Unfortunately, they're going to be around it, you know that. So it's more like let's moderate it and control it, and just It's just easy to do that, and that's it's taking the easy way out. Unfortunately, I don't like to do that in my life, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to take the easy route and just give them devices all the time because I need a break. So yeah, it just has to be moderated, in my opinion. Like some people can get their kids off it altogether. Like good, I'm happy for them, and I think it's great. But yeah, some kids like my oldest son, he generally loves it. He really enjoys watching certain things, and he laughs and he has fun with it. So I'm like, that's fine in moderation, like moderation. And we watch what you're watching, and we keep an eye on, and I think that's important. But yeah, I call it Bluetooth parenting. Like if you go to a park, a playground, parents are just on their phones and they're not even watching their kids, man. And then their kids are hitting people and other kids and being, I do my best to not sit on my phone. Like I won't sit on my phone if I've got my kids with me. I'm with them doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Not Bluetooth parenting.
Yeah, one of the harshest things is that kids have got a developing brain. If we're letting them develop on social media and getting vilification from all these people that are just living bullshit lives, then like you're not parenting. Like they don't have the family values because they're getting raised by social media influencers and not the parents. And then they sort of people. My mate put it like this. They get raised up and they're like, why isn't this kid anything like me? It's like because you've given your kid a device where he has access to people's lives all around the world, and he's spending majority of his time on that, not majority of his time with you, like not learning the family values through you. Now, when I was growing up, there was none of this, right? But we had TVs, so we would sit there and just watch TV, but that was only for like an hour a night, or maybe half an hour in the morning, or on Saturdays if it was wet outside, we would watch movies all day or something like that, have a movie day, but not to the extent now where kids are just on it like hours and hours and hours a day. And for a developing brain, if they're sat there and looking at these screens and just getting their dopamine hits from scrolling and flicking through every 15 seconds, that's also destroying their attention span. Do you know what I mean? And then they go to school and it's like they listen to a teacher talk. He's talking for 25 seconds. It's all right, I'm normally scrolling through now. So their attention span gets destroyed as well. I went out to one of my mates' camps who does a veteran mentoring program, and it was wild, mate, fucking wild at what these kids said they were doing at home and shit like that. And I was just, I spoke to a couple of them, and they were just telling me these stories how they would be on their phone like for 2 hours before they went to school, 6 hours after school, and it was fucking wild, mate.
Yeah, man. And at the end of the day, like your kids are your responsibility, right? Like, so that's on you. Like, they're your responsibility. So, me personally, like I do my best, man. We all get sucked into it. I get sucked into your doom scroll here or there. But with my kids, it's just like I try my best to, let's get them out of the house. Let's get them busy. Because I know what my kids are like, and especially my oldest, he's got the same as me. Like I remember online games came out roughly when I was about 14, 15. And once I got into that, I'm an addictive personality. Yeah. I was like, spent my life doing it to be the best, Yeah. He's the same. So I know that. And as soon as you give him outlets, luckily I played sport and stuff, and that was my outlet. And it just needs to make sure that you stay in those sorts of things, things that are positive, and that stuff gets moderated. So as parents, that's on you, and all that is on you. So if you're going to give them phones and stuff, and just think that it's just things are going to be okay. Parenting's supposed to be hard. So as soon as you just start taking the easy way out all the time, it's going to be a normality, and then your kids are going to suffer, unfortunately, isn't it? That's the reality of it. So
yeah, even and like you can tell sometimes, right, when like kids are fully addicted to tech and shit like that, their eyes look like they're stoned and stuff like that. Like if they've been on it for too long, and then you go to talk to them and they'll keep their head down, and they won't really talk to you too much, and they're limited answers with responses and stuff, and it's like, yeah, this kid spent way too much time on.
Yeah, and that's the same. And that's the problem we have with our eldest, because I don't know, he generally really likes it. Like my youngest son doesn't really care too much. But my eldest son, he's very similar to me in terms of like he'll easily get hooked onto things. So It's just obsessive, you know, and that's how often I've been referred to by my wife and other people, is that I'm a little bit obsessive with things, and he's the same. So just got to give them positive things to put that into.
Yeah, you just got to be obsessed with the right things as well, right?
Exactly.
But so just with your eldest. So when did you first realise that this started to become a problem, and then when did you sort of make the decision and be like, hey, we need to reduce his time on
years ago
technology?
Years ago,
okay.
He was always drawn to it. He always liked it. And you know, we gave him learning games on the iPad, but then he becomes very. You can just tell he's obsessive with it, and it's all he wants to do. And that's pretty obvious, pretty quick. And it just reminded me of me, like. You give me something and I love doing it, I'm just going to do it as much as I can. So I understand it. So yeah, it was a couple years ago. We picked that up pretty quickly, and we're just like, we have to moderate this. And a lot of people's kids aren't like that, and that's great. But yeah, my son, specifically my oldest, we have to just make sure that we're keeping on top of him. And yeah, it was years ago that we noticed that.
All right. Well, good parenting.
Yeah, mate. Look, no one's perfect, are they? We're doing our best, and that's all you can do. But you know, like, I don't know, having kids is the best thing ever, man. Like, I love my kids. I love spending time with them. So you know, and they're my responsibility. So I'll do whatever I need to do to be as best and be as present as I can. Because they're not going to remember. They'll remember what the memories, not what you know, when you weren't around and you know what I mean. So being as present as possible. And by no means am I a perfect parent by any stretch. And I'm not sitting here saying my kids don't get screens and all that sort of stuff, because that would be a lie. But I'm just doing my best, you know, and I'm aware of it. And I don't want my kids to be like that. So my kids, you know, I want them to work hard and appreciate things, and not appreciate, you know, not be materialistic. Because, you know, unfortunately that's what a lot of the world is now. It's look at me, look what I've got. But instead of enjoying things and being grateful for what you do have, because a lot of people have nothing. I actually showed my eldest son, I took him for a drive, and I showed him the house I grew up in. I was like, this is the housing trust I grew up in house. He's like, wow, that's really small. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you don't understand. I'm like, buddy, that's me and my mum and my brother, just us, you know.
Yeah.
So I said, mate, like, you've got it pretty good.
Yeah. Would you, what do you think about giving a kid like a social media account? You know, like would you restrict that?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
No
so,
fucking chance, man.
So, like, would there be an age which they can create an Instagram account?
Yeah, it has to be older when they're conscious enough. But yeah, but then it's, you know, it's gonna be one of those things. Like,
do you know an age that you would let them?
No, not really. I think it's based on maturity, because different levels of maturity. Kemba, my oldest son, he can be quite immature at times in handling his emotions. So that's why we know. And he says, when can I have an iPad? I'm like, when you can emotionally handle it, when you can handle the moderation of it, that's when you're ready emotionally. So an age might not be a good, you know, might not be a good tool. More so where his emotions are and how he's acting and what his maturity levels are like.
Yeah,
that would probably be a good indicator.
The government is trying to put on a thing at the moment where they're trying to put in restrictions for, I think it's, you have to be 16 to be able to have a social media account, which I don't disagree with at all.
Nah, I'm not against it, man.
I actually think it should be 18, to be honest.
It forces them to be creative, not having those tools. So like, I try and make a conscious effort at times just to have the TVs off in the house. And what do you know? They're playing with their toys. They're actually thinking. They're thinking for themselves. So yeah, at times I'll do that and just sit in silence, because and you guys can work through your stuff. And you know, people, you know, if you don't have it, you're just gonna. And I'm not saying it's that easy, because it's not. But yeah, like, kids will be kids, and you know, like, they'll make fun of most things. Like, I literally took my kids down to puddles and water, and they're just jumping in the puddles and like in a creek, and they thought it was the best thing ever. I don't need much, especially at that age.
Mate, when I was young, we used to play like for 8 hours a day. We used to play like cops and robbers out the back. We had a creek out the back for like 8 hours a day. If we weren't doing that, me and my brother were playing cricket for 8 hours a day, or we were kicking a footy, like just outdoor living. Yeah,
exactly. And that's the thing. Like, I know I've been in that position. I was at a position where I was really good at football when I was little or young, early teenager, and I was really good, and it meant everything to me. And then I started playing games, and the games that outweighed me wanting to play footy. And then my footy was second, and I didn't care about it anymore. And I went from being really, really high level, one of the better players, to not the better anymore because I didn't give a shit, and then I didn't want to be there, and then I ended up quitting and having some time away because of games, man.
Yeah.
So
Bro, it was even like a couple of years ago, might have been during COVID. Like I downloaded this like strategic game, Total War or something, on my computer, and I was playing it for 8 hours a day.
Oh, man,
and
life will fly past.
Yeah,
games,
bro.
man.
I remember like looking outside one time. It was morning, and then I turned to my left, looked out, and it was like dark, and I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
My life's gone.
And I practically just deleted that game there and then never touched it since.
Yeah, and I just know, like, it was the same with me. Games, like, I had fun playing them, but it just turned into another thing that I could obsess over. And, like, I know if I can see that. So it's easy for me to see and pull him back straight away before it becomes a problem.
All right, good stuff, man. Let's wrap this up. I haven't asked you this question because you were my first question. I didn't actually bring this question in until like 4 or 5 episodes in. So if you were to see your 18-year-old self again, what's one bit of advice you'd give him about life? Stop playing games.
Oh, well, yeah. But honestly, man, I'd say get your head out your ass. Like, a lot of the time, and because a lot of things did probably come pretty naturally to me. I knew how to work hard. I knew how to push myself to exhaustion, and that always separated me a little bit. But a lot of things did come naturally to me, and it came to a point, especially even running, for example. I was really good at running, and I just, it got to a point where I actually started to believe it. So yeah, I'd probably say, mate, like, get your head out your ass, because it doesn't matter. Working hard matters, and that's what I try and instill to my kids. It's just, like, it does not matter the outcome. It matters how much work you do and how much you persist. That's what's important, the effort. I would never question the result. I'll be questioning the effort. So
Yeah.
pretty much for me, mate, like, fucking don't care what other people think and just work hard and appreciate what you've got and don't take things for granted. That's pretty much it. But a lot of the lessons I learnt from 18 onwards made me who I am. So it's hard to regret it. But yeah, probably get your head out your ass.
Yeah. Do you think 18-year-old self would listen to you?
Maybe. But just, it's so easy to get caught up in looking a certain way and being a certain way. And at that age, that's kind of, when you're immature, that's kind of what you like. But it just got to a point where I thought I was good, and I believed it. And that was, you don't ever want to be like that. You never want to think that you've arrived. Like, there's that I've arrived mentality, right? Like, you feel like you're the man. That is the worst thing that can happen to anyone in any field, is thinking that you're good. You want to be someone who thinks, that you've never arrived. And at that age, I thought I'd arrived. But now I realize that I never have and that I never will. And that's the mentality I want to have. I never want to think I'm the best or the man at anything. I just want to be the guy that's just in there, just fucking going for it. And I'll never get to that point. I will never have arrived. I'm going to be that guy that just, the fucking janitor. That's what I want to be,
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what I'd say to myself.
Good stuff, mate. Well, look, I'll see you back at episode 50.
Nah, too easy, mate. Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me, man.
No worries. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And for more information, head over to our Instagram at Two Worlds Collide Podcast. Take care.